I'm JD TheMediajack, and welcome to another edition of The Flipside. Today you're going to see a video where myself and Alicia Simpson sit down and have a conversation with Alison Ann. She is an IFBB and CPA pro athlete. She's called the Bikini Bodybuilder on Instagram. We talk about her history, her training, as well as the struggles and some of the highlights and lowlights of being in the world of bodybuilding and health and diet. As well, during this video, you're going to see that we're going to talk about something that's a little bit sensitive, eating disorders. Now, before we get into that, I want to show you that if you know someone or you are someone who suffers from an eating disorder, you're not alone. There is a link in the description below. There's also a phone number in the description below if you want to get help, get some information, or if you need to seek help. If you have an eating disorder, you're suffering, or if you know someone who is. You're not alone, no one's alone in this, and you're going to find out a little bit more about our own struggles with this sort of thing in the video. But without further ado, Alison Ann talks with myself and Alicia Simpson on this edition of The Flipside. So the first question I have for you is, what got you into bodybuilding?
All right. So bodybuilding in particular, I didn't really know it was like even a possibility. So when I was younger, like growing up, I always knew that I was strong and I was terrible at team sports, like absolutely awful. Every time I've ever played a team sport, like I've broken a finger. So, but like I was so angry, like because I was like, I know I'm athletic, like I know I'm strong, I know I can climb trees and run faster than like anyone else. I can beat the boys at push-ups, but like I'm so bad at sports, therefore I must not be an athlete. And then when I was a teenager, you know, like all the girls would be checking out like Cosmopolitan or Cosmo Teen or something in the checkout lineups, and I was staring at like Oxygen Fitness and like Muscle and Fitness Hers, and I'm like looking at these ladies with six packs and like flexing their arms, and I'm like, that is so cool. I want to be like that. But I grew up in a small town. It's grown quite a bit now, but it's like on Vancouver Island. So when I grew up,
Sorry, which town?
It's called Courtney.
Oh yeah.
So in the Comox Valley, it's on Vancouver Island. And so when I was growing up, it was about like half the size it is now. And so when I saw like those magazines or bodybuilders, like I just thought it was something that existed in Hollywood. Like I didn't even know it would ever be a possibility like in my life to do. And then I even had a friend who had an older brother with all these actual bodybuilding magazines, you know, like he would order them online and they would come in and it would be like Arnold and, you know, Flex Lewis and like all these like old school like bodybuilders, Ronnie Coleman, and like there were a bunch of female bodybuilders in there, like actual bodybuilders like on stage and like being fitness models. And I'm like, again, like I just had no idea it would even be a possibility. So I went to university, like I was always into fitness. And then when I went to university, I met this girl and she was said, oh, I did a bikini competition. And I was like, oh, like a model search. Like I didn't really know what she meant. I had a friend that did like a ring girl competition once in a bikini. And she goes, no, like bodybuilding. And I was like, wait, where? And she goes, well, it was just here. It was like in New Westminster. I'm like, what? You mean like in this city there's bodybuilding? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, tell me everything. Well, you just like work out a lot and you just eat chickens and yams and cinnamon. And I was like, I'm in. I'm done. Like, sign me up. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? And so that was kind of like how I decided to do it, because I always knew I kind of wanted to. And I didn't even know anything about competitions. I just remember seeing the photos and being like, I can do that. Like, I know I can. So it's like, there's the sport I was always supposed to do. So that was kind of how I got into it. So I met with her for coffee, and I just said, like, tell me everything. And she's like, well, it's really hard, and like really, really hard. And you're going to have no life, and it costs a lot of money, and you're not going to be able to go out with your friends. And it was basically like about an hour long of her telling me everything I couldn't do and how hard I'd have to work. And yeah, by the end of the conversation, I'm like, Kate, no, I'm good. Like, I'm still interested. So she actually didn't suggest me her coach. She just said, I heard that custom built training is like one of the best in town, and that's my coach now for 3.5 years. And so I emailed him and I went, hi, I want to do a competition. And that was it. So like, that's how I basically got into bodybuilding.
So you knew that there was an athletic side of you and you wanted to explore
Oh
that.
yeah.
But
I loved being strong. Like growing up, like I would wake up every morning and do like 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups every morning, run around the track, go to aqua sizing. Like I knew I was meant to be moving. I just didn't know how, like literally at all. Like again, like break fingers every time I would play basketball or anything like that.
So basketball was out, volleyball was out. They wouldn't let you on the football team.
5'3", like there's yeah. And all these girls were like, come play rugby. I'm like, no, that sounds terrible. I don't want to break my back. Like,
I'm already breaking things as is. I don't want to get into a more violent sport.
I looked terrible. All their bruises looked absolutely terrible.
So
yeah.
you knew that you wanted to be active. You knew you wanted to do something. And so you had that little bit of an athletic background. But bodybuilding was basically something you almost stumbled upon just by talking to someone in like a bikini competition. And that was it.
And had I not asked more questions, maybe I would have thought it really was just like some like beach bikini thing. Like, oh, that's cool, good job, But yeah, I was really happy to find out it was a possibility.
So you had this in front of you now, and you knew this is what you wanted to do. You started asking some questions. What did your friends and family think and react when you told them, this is what I'm going, this is what I want to do?
Oh, it was so hard.
Really?
It was like, I didn't like, because I didn't know anything about it myself. It was like, how do you even explain it to anyone? Now that I know a lot about it, I can like easily describe what I'm doing and how the diet works. But they would, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just eating chicken. Like it was so hard to explain. And they're like, well, you just seem like starving and exhausted all the time. I'm like, yeah. Then they're like, so what's the point? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even been on stage yet. I just know I'm going to like it when I get there. But it was really hard. So I went from, like a pretty active social life, like out several times a week with my friends and not necessarily drinking. But, just like I saw my friends a lot and I saw my family a lot and I had a lot of time for dance classes or art classes or like all these things that I did. And I just had to cut them almost all out. Not now. Like now, obviously, I know how to balance and I have my on season and my off season. But I did lose friends. And it wasn't necessarily that there was any, fight, but it was just that your lives just go in like completely different directions. Like a bunch of them all live out in the suburbs with babies now, and they're all like they always hang out together, and all their babies hang out. Now I still go out, but it's just a different life. So, and my family like really didn't get it, at first. They even came to see my competition, and I get off stage and my dad was like, have you tried rock climbing? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, I mean, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And and I even like, lost after my first prep, I lost like a 5-year relationship, and I can't blame it on the prep, but it was definitely like a contributing factor. So, they had said, if you do another show, I don't think we're going to make it. And I just, at that point, I knew in my heart that I was doing another show. So it was kind of, it was really hard. Not to say that it would be for everyone, but for me, it was like the shift and the change that my life actually always needed, and I didn't know. So while it was extremely excruciating, and the whole first year doing it, like I felt like lost and alone, and like I cried about it actually a lot. But eventually, like I built a community, and eventually, like my family is on board. So yeah.
Wow.
And my dad actually brags about it now. So.
Nice.
How familiar is all of this to you?
It's very familiar.
Yeah?
It's the sport. You learn who you want to be, and through that you lose the people that, aren't going to be able to follow you. Like, it was the same with me. I pretty much, after my first show, a month later, I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, and had to move on, and because he wasn't going to grow with me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I very much understand all of that.
Was that the same guy that the other bodybuilders were using as like a bench press in that photo?
Bench press.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Okay, yeah, that is
Yeah.
the same guy. Okay. There's this photo that she has of these two guys who are very clearly bodybuilders, and this scrawny guy in the middle of them just being
Oh,
hoisted
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It's rather adorable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was tiny. I was getting bigger muscles than him.
Yeah. Okay.
Chicken and yams, yeah.
Is what, sorry?
I said it's the chicken and yams. You
Chicken and
just
the
get-
yams with the secret ingredient of the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Yes, I love cinnamon. So, approached a family. They didn't understand it, but you ultimately did get to your first competition. Where
Yeah.
was it? When was it? How did it go?
Oh my god, it was almost exactly 3 years ago. So I have a crazy story about being on stage in that one. So this is so, it was a different federation than the federation now, so I feel like I'm able to speak about it. But the judge had apparently had a falling out with someone in the audience a few days before the show. So I get there, I get dumped 6 days before the show, so I'm already a complete mess. You know, 5-year relationship, 6 days before, I'm like, you couldn't have just like waited like
Yeah,
6
wow.
days. So like my cortisol's through the roof. I didn't even know what was going on. My hair and makeup was like the first time I've ever done it. It was fine. Like I felt okay. But it was hard. Like being on stage is hard enough as it is. Anytime you do it. But I mean, I had a great time. Like I met people backstage and everything, but this guy in the audience was sitting right behind the head judge, and I guess he heard my coach yell my number, like, good job, 254. And he goes, oh, like, he was friends with my coach. He goes, oh, I don't know, like, help out. So it was, yeah, 254, hold it tight, you're doing a good job. And I'm like, I don't know who's yelling at me, but anyway, apparently the head judge and that guy had a falling out. So the head judge thought that he was my coach. And so he like moved me off to the side of the stage and like left me there by myself for like 2 minutes straight. And I'm like, it felt like it. It was probably 30 seconds while he called out the next class. Because I was in the first call-outs, but I got 6th place. So instead of like walking me off stage, he left me there by myself while he called out second call-outs. And I was like standing there alone. Meanwhile, this guy in the audience is going, squeeze 254. You don't know me, but I know you. And he's like, I'm watching. Squeeze it tighter. You got it. And he's like, squeeze like you're giving birth. And I'm literally like, what the fuck is this guy? Like, who is this? And it was so traumatizing. Like, part of me was like, I'm never going on stage again. And then my ex-boyfriend is in the audience and he's like hugging my family like nothing's wrong, and I like didn't want to tell them because I didn't want them to be worried for me. And it was so like my first show experience was like kind of a nightmare, I'm not gonna lie. I cried when I got off stage, but like I loved the show. Like the bodybuilding part of it was great, but even though my life was falling apart.
Did that get rectified at all?
No. I don't know. I did another show and it was great too.
Okay.
I just honestly like I loved the journey, and I think you actually just have no idea what you're going to look like until you see your stage photos. And that was what made me go, holy shit, like I really did something here. It's one thing you see yourself with your weird tan, but when you're looking in the mirror, you're kind of like, I just look odd. And the makeup is like over the top, and the suit is so extra. You feel like people just stare at you. You're like a freak, and you're like, well, that's valid. But then you see the stage photos, like under the nice lights, and like you just look at your own self like you're like a goddess, and you go, holy shit. Like it was just such a like moment, and I went, okay, now like I see what I worked towards, and I just looked at the photos of myself and I was like, hey, that's a strong woman. And like I knew at that point that the sport was for me. So
Once the stage photos come out and it's from a distance and you have the stage lights on you, the makeup makes sense, the tan makes sense, everything just kind of comes together because it's no longer just you looking in the mirror going, "What did I do?" And it's now a professional lens and it's from a distance and it's under the right lights. So
yeah. It was good. It was good.
Oh, that's like cringeworthy to know that there's so many factors going on behind the scenes that you had nothing to do with.
Oh my God, like this person yelling, like, squeeze like you're giving birth. I'm like, there's something wrong with you.
A little bit. Wow.
Yeah.
You had a question in the can you wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, just like we all have someone we look up to in this industry in particular. So I look up to like Annette Corvette and you and Angelica Teixeira and Ashley Kaltwasser. So like, what pros do you look up to?
I think everyone that lives in Vancouver looks up to Annette. She is like a bright like ray of sunshine in this industry and such a good ambassador for the sport. She tells it how it is. She's not afraid to explain the reality of how hard prep is, but she also really shares some of the positive realities, that there are certain things you can do in prep to make it more enjoyable and to make it healthier for the long term. So she's one of my absolute favorites. And of course, Angelica, you know, 2-time Bikini Olympia winner. She is an incredible ambassador for the sport too. Like, she's a hard worker, she's dedicated, she gets to a healthy body fat in the off season, still, you know, looks like a professional athlete year round. I think that that's like the perfect balance. And she's just so positive. Like, all she wants to do is encourage people.
She's so sweet.
You know, she is, and I got to meet her in person. Did you too?
No, I haven't. But you got to?
She came to the Popeyes Fall Classic 2 years ago.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so yeah, I got a photo with her and everything, and so that was actually amazing. I asked her to critique my physique. I showed her some photos. She goes, "Oh, great! Like, you actually have great symmetry and balance." And then she goes, "You need to train calves." And I'm like, "I know." And she goes, "Really need to train calves." And so every single time for 2 years now that I have trained calves, I think of her.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I really, those are two that I look up to. And actually, I really look up to another local pro athlete. Her name is Azaria. She is a figure pro, and I only met Azaria probably, like 6 to 8 months ago. But in the short time that I have known her, you know, she is the same. Like, she's all about like elevating who you are to your higher self, you know, inspiring people to believe in themselves and to just realize that like we have so much potential within us. And so, you know, and I've worked out with her a few times, and like, she makes me push weights that I did not think I would ever be able to do. So yeah, those are definitely like top few people that have inspired me.
That's awesome.
How much of bodybuilding is a mental game?
It's very mental.
Yeah.
And mental meaning like absolutely crazy. No. It's a huge mental game. I mean, you know, there was a point this off season where I was doing nothing but gain weight week after week after week after week, and I'm like, okay, Alison, like, calm down, just take a deep breath, and like, you are in the off season. But you don't want to be gaining weight, even though I'm supposed to be. You know, I'm like reversing out of my show, and even when I got to a point where I know that I was like, I didn't need to gain more weight, but I was still gaining weight, like very incrementally, you know, I had to just tell myself, like, don't panic, don't freak out, just don't do any like rash decisions, don't start dieting, don't cut all your calories in half, don't go doing a bunch of crazy cardio, just like keep going, talk to your coach, and you'll start a proper like, you know, diet when you have to. And but meanwhile in my head I'm going like, oh my god, I'm gaining weight, like but now I look back and I'm like, it was fine. Or the same thing when you're like getting ready for a show and you go like, I am not ready, there's no way I'm ready, I'm never going to be ready in time, and then you look back at photos and you're like, oh yeah, I was so skinny. What the fuck was I thinking? So yeah, it's just it's a very mental game, and it's a long game. It's a long mental game, and I think that's what a lot of people, if you're new to the sport, that's what you have to realize is that, you know, Alicia, you and I have both been doing this for like a few years now. It takes years, and every year you progress, and it can be a lot. You can look at one year to the next and go, holy crap, I made a huge difference. But over like the span of 4 years now that I've been doing this, my change from my first year to my second year was hardly anything over the big picture. So you just have to remember that, like, it's the day in and day out for years that makes the lasting, like, solid changes. And so that can be hard. You can want quick fixes, you can want quick gains, but it's the long, slow, annoying, hard work that you don't see any progress, but eventually someday you go, oh, I think I've changed. So
yeah, that's right.
It sounds a lot like a term that I've learned over the past year and a half and become more educated about. It sounds a lot like cases of body dysmorphia, which is surprisingly prevalent in the world of bodybuilding.
It's true. So for me, my body dysmorphia has ebbed and flowed my entire life. But I can say that while I've been a bodybuilder, my body image, my thoughts on my body image has been better than when I wasn't a bodybuilder. But it doesn't mean it ever goes away. It's the same thing with the fact, like, I used to have an eating disorder. Those tendencies will always be in the back of my head, but now I have the tools and the knowledge to work with the thoughts in my mind. And I think the same thing for me goes with my body image now that I'm educated on bodybuilding and I'm educated on body fat percentages and on how I diet. So, like, my body image, like my thoughts on my body image 2 months ago were pretty low. Like, when I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining, and like I would just look in the mirror and be like, I feel like I'm losing control. I feel like I'm blowing up because every week I just would gain another half a pound. And I look back at photos and I'm like, well, I was a little softer, but was I completely overweight or way too far, like, you know, gained way too much for my off season? No. Had I kept gaining? Maybe. But like, at the time, I was really down on my body image. But I am aware that if I start a diet, like a proper constructive diet, not just slashing my calories in half, but a slow process, that I will change for the better. So once you learn that, you know, that you can gain weight if you want to and you can lose weight if you want to, as long as you do it in a healthy way, then it kind of helps your body image, because no matter what state your body is in, it's temporary. And I think that's the thing, is that if you gain too much weight, well, if you have the tools and knowledge or hire a coach, you can change that. And if you want to build muscle, again, like educate yourself and you can change that. And I think that it's actually helped my body image. But it can be difficult. You can play the comparison game, and you can get used to being very lean. That's another thing too. So if you've been lean for 4 months straight and a size 0, you know, like, you just get used to being that way. Your clothes fit you that way. You see yourself that way every single day. And to gain 10 pounds, it's not even that you think you look bad. It's just that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And the weight gain is always quicker than the weight loss. So
yeah,
you get used to being lean and going, oh, a little more abs today, a little bit more shreds today, you know, whatever. But when you reverse diet, a lot of it comes a lot faster sometimes. So I think it's just a shock. And so, yeah. I hope that answers the question.
No, you're completely on track. I can honestly say, and I'm not shy about it, I've talked about it before, I suffered from a eating disorder when I was much younger. I've been anorexic twice in my life.
Oh, wow.
Both times before I even finished high school. And now I look back at, like, photos of myself in my yearbook and stuff like that. I was fine.
I thought I was overweight. I thought I was out of shape. I thought I was fat. But looking back, like, I would kill to have that figure when I was in high school. But my mind just saw something that wasn't there, and it projected something that was like of my own worst fears, that I was fat, I was unattractive, I wasn't in shape, I didn't have any muscle tone, when in actual fact, like, I was on the wrestling team, I was on the football team, I was on the rugby team, I was in the best shape of my life. But still,
sounds super athletic.
but still, for whatever reason, I got it stuck in my head, and I ended up becoming anorexic one time, very dangerously, close to the edge.
Did you have to cut weight for your wrestling?
I did.
Did that perpetuate some of it?
It did. It was actually the second and the last time, and the one time that things got really, really dangerous, because in football and in rugby, like, they don't care, but in wrestling, you're very much thrown into a category according to your weight, and so that was the big defining factor there. But it's not just people who are. I feel bad for saying it, but it's not just women who suffer from this sort of thing. It's not just bodybuilders, or it's not just bikini models that suffer from anorexia or bulimia or any sort of eating disorder. It could be anyone, totally unexpected, and it still is just as impactful.
It is. I think it transcends like all genders, all types of people from like all different backgrounds. It's and it's something that like a lot of people don't talk about a lot. You know, in the maybe in the bikini world, yes, or in the bodybuilding world, like, we are very hyper focused on like body image. And some people can be focused on it objectively and some not. But ultimately, like, we live in a society where you know, like, body image is always on display. Advertisements, TV, like
sex sells,
gatherings, anything, you know, like, you know, it's just always there. And so I think if there was like more open discussion about eating, or, you know, nutrition was taught as a course in high school, like, what a novel idea that would be. Like, stuff like that. Like, I just think if these things were like more openly discussed, I think a lot less people would feel so alone. As well, you know, so like, true. Growing up, I had my eating disorder. I thought I was the only one. I knew other people out there had it, but I wouldn't know it was my best friend that I grew up with since I was 4. Her and I only found out a few years ago that we both had it.
Oh, wow.
Like, both had bulimia for years. It was shocking, and like, we both cried when we told each other a few years ago. Like,
wow.
So, yeah.
Do you have anything to add to this? No. You don't have to. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, but actually, I wanted to say, like, I want to thank you for your transparency over social media. Like, that's, more people need to be like that. I aspire to be more like that. So, like, I think that's really important. So, thank you for that.
You know, thank you. Like, and I agree, I still struggle with it, and there's so much more that, like, I want to share too, because I feel like it's important to share. Because even if, like, me going, man, I hadn't, like, for example, I can put it out there publicly. I had an eating disorder relapse 2 weeks ago, and I binged and purged 4 times over this course of 10 days. And I've only told 3 people, and I wasn't even sure if it was, like, if what was happening was what was actually happening. And it was, and I still don't know where it came from. I don't know what triggered it, but, like, I was just like, oh my God, no, something's wrong. Okay, no, cut it out, stop it, assess it, think about it. And, like, luckily it passed. But after 6 years of being recovered and having this crazy lapse, like, and I thought, do I make a post about it? Do I talk about it? I don't know. I don't know how to address it. Like, does it make me look weak? Am I no longer allowed to say I'm recovered? And then I'm realizing, like, well, are we all, like, ever really recovered? Those things are always there, like, again, in the back of your head, like. And we just need, if, like, the more people talk about it, the more tools and resources, and people feel like they're able to reach out, and maybe, like, because I felt like I had people I could reach out to, I was able to, like, address it immediately. And so, yeah, thank you. No, it's true. Like, I also the same. I just want to be able to, like, share all this.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, big thank you to you. I mean, it's difficult and it's hard and it's challenging to be as transparent and as open and as sharing with stuff like that. But in the long term and in the long run, it helps. It helps get it out of your system. It helps other people to know that there are other people who are potentially going through the same thing they are. And so it creates a community. And instead of feeling locked in, you're alone and you are just suffering in the darkness, you now have this support group that is just came out of just being open and honest and sharing. And so, yeah, like Alicia said, thank you for doing what you do. It does mean a lot to not just your followers, but also it's a ripple effect, a butterfly effect. It just goes outward and it just helps so much more.
It's so true. And like, I think people, shit on social media a lot. But it is such a powerful tool. And if I didn't have social media, I don't think I would be the competitor or the person that I am today. When I decided to do this sport and I felt like I was losing touch with my family and with my life and with my friends, like meanwhile, very slowly but surely, like I've had my Instagram for like 7 years now, and like it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. And very, very slowly but surely, like a community built, and somebody would start following me and I didn't even know who they were, and they'd go, "Oh, you're doing a great job, like don't give up." And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And like eventually they would say something else a few months later, and, "Hey, I just want to say you're doing a really good job this off season. I can't wait to see you in your second show." And and now I'm like really good friends with these people, and I see them in real life and I hug them. And there was this weird stage a few years ago where people are like, "I know you from Instagram." Is that weird? And whereas now I'm like, "Instagram friend, what's up?" It's like it's changed now. And like, yeah. I honestly think like social media is such a powerful world, and there are so many people online that have inspired me to like get out of my comfort zone and to like do things. And you see somebody posting like, "Oh, I'm going for a really nice walk today outside," and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta get outside." It's nice out. Like, yeah. Anything like or even I had like one girl and that I follow, and she does still have an eating disorder, and she posted a helpline that you can phone if you ever feel like you're about to have a binge. We should find that number and post the link below. It was great, like, because I wrote it down, because I said, who knows, like, this was even months ago before I even knew that I would have a relapse, but I did, and I wish I had that phone number. But like, the point is, like it was just, I would never even have known that those resources existed if she hadn't shared. So yeah.
I will gladly find that phone number, put it up on the screen as well. I will put it in the description, links down below, because that's important stuff to know. But let's step away from all this stuff. Let's shake it off, and we'll just move forward. Speaking of mental, you can't just be focused on one thing, one aspect of your life. You have to have hobbies. You have to have interests. And in your Instagram feed today, you were very, very, very close to buying a 275 jacket, one of a kind, that was modeled after Wonder Woman. You are a delightful nerd.
I'm a nerd, yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm like a fake nerd, because like, how like there's some nerds that like shit on other nerds because they're not nerdy enough, and like they don't know every character's name and like every detail of everything. And then there's like a meme going around that's like, just let people like things.
Yeah. Those people aren't nerds, they're assholes.
Thank you. I should get a shirt like that, maybe. Yeah. It was great. I love nerdy shit, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, like Back to the Future. I'm only getting into Star Wars now because of the burlesque troupe. We do nerdlesque, and
what?
I never
Hold on.
really,
Wait, whoa, what? What is this?
You didn't know this?
Did I miss this?
Nerdlesque. I didn't know that.
You know how I do like burlesque, right? Yeah, but it's all nerd themed. That's it. That's all we do, is like nerd themed burlesque.
My Instagram feed has been denying me this.
It's like the coolest. It's like the coolest thing ever.
Okay, cool.
Like cool, I mean like nerdy, but basically, I grew up doing like musical theater, and I actually thought about like going to school for it and getting like a degree in musical theater, but didn't. I ended up doing something else.
Yeah.
You know, adult people job things, and ended up getting back into theater because my sister did she got a full scholarship and everything. She's an amazing performer, incredible singer, dancer, actor. She's and so she like is one of the co-directors of a burlesque and theater company, and they do all things nerdy burlesque. So we have done like Star Wars, parody musicals or parody shows, you know, Lord of the Rings, Marvel. So we've a few shows coming up actually. Like I'm in a Marvel show coming up soon, and we're like traveling around the province and stuff. Yeah, so
You're coming here, right?
Prince George.
where am I going? Kelowna?
No, Kelowna. Kelowna's about a 5-6 hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So what's the theater company and the burlesque troupe name?
Okay, so the company is called the Geekenders.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So you can look them up on Instagram. It's just at Geekenders.
Okay.
So you can see all of their upcoming shows on there. I do have a burlesque Instagram page, and I haven't updated it in several years, but now that I've like said it out loud, I have to.
Yeah.
So actually, there's like another thing too, is that when you're in burlesque, you have like a stage name, like a performer name. So my performer name is Luna Eclipse. So my Instagram is Luna Eclipse Burlesque.
Cool.
So,
Well, I'll be adding that to the description down below too.
You didn't know she did burlesque?
I didn't know.
I never heard the term nerdlesque, but yeah. You didn't know she did burlesque?
I'm so sorry I missed that. Jeez, I'm usually on top of everything like that, but okay, cool.
She sings and everything. She has a beautiful voice.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
don't
I'm
be
sorry.
so-
Whenever you go on your Instagram and you do like you're gonna sing a song, I have to sit there and I'm just like I'm just entranced by your voice.
To be honest, I actually like my dream career is to be like a singer-songwriter, but I didn't have the confidence to do it. So now, 10 years later, maybe I do. So,
Do you? Okay, so let's venture down that avenue. Do you play any instruments? Do you write your own songs? Are you a lyricist?
so I play piano,
Uh-huh.
and I took lessons for like 14 years, and for some reason I didn't get the piano genes that like my sister and my brother. First of all, my brother is currently composing like a full like concerto pieces, like whatever you call them. Like he's doing like full like symphony style like writing. Like
Wow.
he can just sit down and play something that you'd think was like done by Mozart. And we'd be like, oh, like what is that? He's like, oh, I just made it up on the spot. And like so
Wow.
I would call myself more of like a lyricist, and like I write my own melodies and I sing and play, and I can just plunk the chords along. So I do want to like, you know, practice my piano skills. The only tattoo I have is a grand piano on my side.
Oh,
That's
okay.
adorable.
So yeah, I do love it. Like I really like love music, and I love writing, and I find it's like such a good way to express like all of the things in my head. Yeah.
Wow.
So
So
one day I will write an album.
one day.
Yeah.
So nerd,
Yeah.
into sci-fi, geek culture, Harry Potter, burlesque, a lyricist,
Yeah, more like fantasy rather than sci-fi, but like
fantasy more than sci-fi. That's cool. Lyricist and a singer who has apparently the voice of a siren. That again, I apologize, I missed that one.
I don't like share it a ton. Like I try to keep my page to like mostly just like fitness stuff. So yeah.
What else? What else? What else puts a smile on your face?
Well, like my job is pretty cool. I'm an architectural designer.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So, yeah, I'm currently like updating my portfolio. I want to take some more classes, and I'm just looking back at all the work I've done over the years, and I'm like, this is kind of cool, actually. Like literally today, that's what I was doing before we got on here, was like looking at like all the work I've done, and I'm like, okay, like I kind of like my job, even though it's really hard and really stressful sometimes.
That's so cool. Congratulations on everything so far. This is incredible.
Thanks.
Okay, what's coming up for you bodybuilding wise? Where are you competing next? When is it happening? And also, I want to know, who do you train with?
Okay. My coach is Darren Toma with Custom Built Training. It's my first and only coach. And probably will always be my only coach. Yeah, it's great. Like, we've just had a really good relationship. So this year, I am 24 weeks out of my very first show. It is the Natural Nationals, Canadian Natural Nationals in Toronto. It is the BC Day weekend, the first weekend of August. So I think I'll be flying like July 29th or something.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, 24 weeks out. I don't think my prep is officially starting. So the next 2 shows I want to do after that, all dependent on how I feel, how I look, my feedback. It's really hard to say with like a long prep and lots of shows, but I'm planning on doing the Olympia Amateur.
Ooh, nice.
A few weeks later. I think it's about 4.5 weeks later. So it's a bit of a stretch. I've done 3 weeks in between shows twice now, and that's been a good turnaround time. You have 1 week to recover from your show, another week of prep, and then you get to go into peak week. So this will be 4.5 weeks. So that's a bit of a stretch. But Olympia Amateur would be like an amazing like experience.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Where's that located?
it's in Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
That would be fun.
Good.
Last year you did 2 shows back to back. What
Yeah.
was I forget how long it was between the 2.
July 14th, August 3rd. So it was about
3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 3 weeks. Yeah.
So I
It's
know what
it's a
that's like.
pretty good amount of time. So
Yeah.
and I've done that like 3 or 4 times now. So
Yeah.
that amount of time in between. Yeah. But then sorry.
No. Continue on.
If I'm like hoping to get a pro card, which is like the goal. But if I don't, I'm not upset, because I'm like, the longer I've been doing this, like I realize I just love the journey so much, and I'm still like enjoying the experience. So, but I'm still hoping to win a pro card.
Yeah.
And so then maybe 2 weeks later, I would go to Olympia Amateur in London, as I have a friend that lives there. You can get very cheap flights at that time of year, so it could be a feasible thing to do. London.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a pro tip. Her new coach is from London, or the
Yeah,
UK.
I think she's Nottingham or
Nottingham.
something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your new coach's name again?
Phoebe Hagen.
Oh, I was just watching something about her on YouTube yesterday.
Really?
She's awesome. She's great.
She's amazing, yeah.
Oh yeah, what about Alicia? What shows are you doing? That's what I'm.
We can throw that in the show. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually doing a natural show this year as well. It's in Fort St. John, the Northern Classic Naturals.
Okay.
It's in June. And then after that, I'm not really sure. I just want to kind of see how that one goes. But it's my first natural show, so I'm really excited about that.
So you're officially in prep.
Sort of. We're building a little bit for a couple more weeks. But
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much. I think that's like 16 weeks now.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So-
Okay. That's awesome. I can't.
And then I'm still qualified under the CBBF. I got a 3rd place at nationals last year, so I'm qualified to compete internationally if I wanted to. But it's like that federation has shrunk so much, so I'm not sure if it's really worth it. Maybe I should stick with the CPA. So haven't really decided yet, but it would be cool to go to Europe for a show and just to be in Europe.
Just.
So we know when you're competing next. We know who you're working with.
Yeah.
I have one question, and it's because of your activity on your main Instagram, which again, the link will be in the description down below. Do you do like a photo shoot like once a week? Because it seems as though you have like photos from a different shoot coming out all the time.
No. So sometimes I just like post them Hold up, I'd have to look at my Instagram now.
Go for it.
No, so I did this photo shoot quite like whatever's the most recent one. I think I posted like a Valentine's picture.
Mm-hmm.
The pink one. That was the same photo shoot as the gray backdrop. She just switched the lighting out.
Oh, okay.
And other than that, I don't know. Oh yeah, so I work with Elevate Apparel, and so we did a photo shoot for their new line, the All We Have Is Now line. So, yeah, and sometimes I just like save photos and I'll post them later, like if I haven't done a photo shoot in a while. So, yeah.
You have your own clothing line coming out, do you not?
No, it's actually my coaching business.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I would love to. So I've actually always had a dream to have a clothing line that donates to two very specific charities, and having different artwork that represents the two charities. And so I would probably keep it under the same like brand, I guess. But it is my coaching. I've just started coaching a few months ago. It's called Physique by Design. So because I'm a designer, and because I feel like when you work with a client, you'd want to design them a custom plan and design them a custom posing routine. I just sort of thought it like really worked well for me. So
definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nice. I love it. I love that design. That's so cool.
The design of it itself now makes more sense considering what you do for a living.
Yeah. As a designer, yeah, it looks like an architectural drawing. That's why I have like white on the blue to look like blueprints with like the, like the drafting lines and everything.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's brilliant. While we're on this topic, what are your other sources, like links and website and social media? I might as well get those out there.
Oh, I just have Instagram right now. I'm working on more.
Okay.
So I have my Alison and Fitness, and I do have my burlesque page, Luna Eclipse Burlesque, and now I have no choice but to go update it. There's some photos, but I do work with Suits by The. She is my suit sponsor for my shows, and she'll be doing my suits again this year. And I work with Elevate Apparel, and they are a local clothing company. They print everything locally here themselves, design themselves, and their message is all about elevating yourself and others to your highest state. Like always encouraging to have good vibes and positive vibes and spread kindness. And so yeah, I very much like believe in their brand as well. And yeah, and then my own coaching business is called Physique by Design, and so you can find my Instagram page there. That's Physique by Design as well. So one day I'll do the YouTube and the podcast, and like I'm actually like been really thinking about it lately. I just don't even know how to start. So
well, I can help you out with that later if you want. I realize what time it is, and I promise I wasn't going to keep you too long. But
I think my plans are canceled because I have so much work to do. So I just have to stay and work. So don't worry.
Well, I'm sorry about that. But I got one more question, unless you have something else.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. This is something that Alicia and I deal with on a semi-regular basis, and I find it utterly hilarious. How often do you get hit on social media?
I'm literally like, I have like screenshots of all of the ridiculous things that I get in my inbox, and they're so terrible.
Oh yeah.
Like one of them was like my favorite one of all times is like, hello, enter. Are you available for marriages?
Oh my god.
Like,
Yeah.
like, oh god.
Multiple marriages, not just marriage, just marriages.
Yeah, it's a lot. And oh, this was one I got the other day, and I hope this is like not too inappropriate to say on here. It was like, hi, I really like to sex with you. and then 5 minutes later, by all respect.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course, nothing but respect coming from this conversation.
Oh my god. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes another one, hop to marry you.
Hop to marry you. Hop. Okay.
And and I love you, and you don't get them that often, but you get them often enough.
Okay, I'll share because Alicia and I have been dating for just over a year and change. And the first thing I asked after social media and stuff like that is like, how many dick pics do you get? And so we started going through it. And what I would do, like, I thought penises are funny. That's my opinion. Penises are funny looking. So what I would do. Thank you. So what I would do is I screen captured all the dick pics that she got that was sent to her, and then I would go to like MSN Paint, and then I'd like draw a funny face or make it into a clown or a hot dog or something like that, and then I would send it back.
Oh my god.
But recently, Alicia was propositioned by someone, and they were going to give you was it $200 a week allowance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sending photos and stuff?
It didn't get that far, but Alicia was a champ about it.
That's great.
It says, this is from some guy, calls himself Bernard, says, "Hello, pretty. I checked through your profile and I'm willing to pay you weekly for an online arrangement." To which her answer was, "What is this arrangement you speak of, sir?" Already on fire. I've been a loner since I lost my wife a year ago, so I literally want a sugar baby who will be sort of a friend and companion to me. It continues. Someone I can talk to from time to time, someone who can make me feel happy and not feel lonely, someone who's going to be 100% honest with me no matter what, and someone who I can confide in and put my trust in. I'm willing to pay you $200 weekly to start so as to get your undivided attention. Is that okay with you? How did you respond?
I had candy on the mind at the time, so my question was, will there be gummy bears?
Oh my god.
That's all I said.
That's yeah, exactly.
I just like, how do you? I don't respond to any of like
I
normally
usually
don't respond.
either. Like,
Yeah.
like what do you say?
But sometimes you're just like so curious when somebody's like, one the other day that was like, I will pay you $5,000 like to send me 50 pictures, and I was like of what? I just want like seriously, like I'll send you 50 photos, like. And he was like, "Oh, you know, like you flexing and stuff." And I was like, "It's already on my Instagram." I'm like, "I'll just take like a screenshot of my Instagram feed for $5,000." It sounds great.
I do that. Yeah.
It's like just like for flexing. I'm like, well, like I flex all the time anyway. But like, if you're
there's one guy who continues to send you photos of him flexing.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Your turn."
Yeah, and then
like
challenge.
a fetish. It's a fetish.
It's a fetish of his. It's weird.
Yeah. Right.
The one time he did it, I'm like, I'm gonna send him a photo. So I sent him a photo of me flexing, and her response was, "I think my boyfriend wins." And he's like, "That's not fair. It's not a part of the deal." There was no fucking deal. You just sent a photo. Anyway,
no, that's like I feel like that's like the weird part of like online that I feel like you would get that anyway.
Yeah.
Like even if like you're in bodybuilding or not, like people are odd.
Yeah.
People are odd, and social media gives people that mask and that that artificial freedom to do things and to just be dickheads, for lack of a better term.
My honest advice is don't respond.
Yeah.
Just or I don't know.
Block, delete, report.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're not alone. It happens.
No. Yeah. I hope to marry you.
I'll pay you $5,000 for 50 pictures. Okay, here's my plant, here's my cat, here's the floor.
Right? That's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay. But the fact that it's just you flexing, I'm like, that's lit. Like, have you seen my, like, picture feed in my phone? That's all that's in there. I'm such a meathead, so.
Thank you so much for joining me, and joining us, I should say. I had the honor of meeting you briefly while down in Vancouver at the Hard Rock Cafe. It was very, very, very quick and sporadic because we were just moving everywhere, and you were very busy. But best of luck, and the best of success for you in the near future and the distant future. Your Instagram feed is definitely worth checking out, and also follow. And you respond to the ones who are appropriate, but you still respond to people, and you always have this great positivity about you. You're very informative, and you're also very entertaining. So again, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us today, and just being you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. Like, it's awesome, and I feel like I got to know you guys even better. So
yeah, this was so much fun.